Welcome to Soundipity. Tonight we have Khr0nic. Khr0nic is a two apprentice and a visual artist whose work span realism, grayscale, stippling, and mixed media. Her portfolio shows technical precision and vulnerability and also transformation. What makes this extra special isn't the technical skill alone, but how art became her lifeline. From trauma to her voice being silenced to going through the chaos of borderline personality disorder, she is able to carve the path forward through art etched on a living human skin. Chronic journey is one of survival, self discovery, and profound power channeled through art. So let's welcome Chronic. Thank you for being here today
Yes.
with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, where we want to start, we want to actually start with you from like the beginning, because you mentioned that the exact moment it was in around first grade when you saw someone's art and you said and you thought, "I want to do that." So, can you take us back to that moment? What was about that art that captivated you?
Yeah, so when I was in the first grade, I was at a daycare. I went there after school because my mom worked really late hours, and one of my friends noticed that one of the staff members was drawing something on like a little notebook. So we went over to see what he was doing, and he was drawing Superman. And I remember looking at that and saying, "You didn't draw that." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, I did." And it was like very true to the comic of Superman. And I was just so impressed that he could draw that from memory.
Right,
And I remember thinking, like, that's so cool that you can just draw Superman just like right out of nothing, right? And
right,
so I was like, I want to do cool stuff like that.
amazing. And you carried dry erase boards everywhere as a kid. You said so. Were you drawing on them, or was there something like was there something about these dry erase boards like that really appealed to you, or is it just what was available at the time?
Yeah, I really liked the dry erase boards. I would draw everything that I saw around me, and then I would quickly erase it and draw little characters and just everything I could think of, I would draw and I would erase really quickly. I loved how impermanent it was because I wasn't
Hmm.
like pressured to make something perfect. There was no pressure around it.
Did you try doing Superman?
I drew Superman when I was older, but my favorite is Batman for sure.
Agreed. Agreed.
And let me ask you this: how did your family react to your constant drawing as a child?
They were pretty surprised because I would constantly be drawing if we were watching TV. If we were like out at, we used to go to like Sunday school, I would just draw through the church sermons. And it eventually they embraced it, and my grandparents would start taking me to art stores and buying me supplies and everything. And
Oh, that's
then
very
it
nice.
kind of became a problem in high school because I would just be drawing in class all the time.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. I wouldn't draw, but I would like scribble and like write and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, all right. And you did describe your drawing as an outlet when your voice was being silent. So can you share like how did that feel? Um, and how did you put it into paper in your drawing?
Yeah, it helped me process feelings. I could draw things that even I wasn't very good at verbalizing. I remember in particular there was this one thing I had drawn in a sketchbook, which was just a picture of a little girl, and she was being towered over by her school and her home. And she looked scared. And I feel like that one drawing in particular was very expressive, even though I wasn't trying very hard to be.
Hmm.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Cause like going through something similar. I never even like thought of any type of like expression of it. So like I feel like
Mhm.
having that like trapped feeling and not being able to express it, I feel like you can really connect when somebody else does it. So like did you share your work when you were younger?
It's actually funny that particular drawing was in a sketchbook that I had lost in my high school. I had left it in a bathroom, and a girl had found it and couldn't find the owner of it. And we happened to become really good friends. And she showed me this sketchbook. She said, "This looks like your drawings." And I'm like, "This is my old sketchbook." And she had told me how that one particular drawing had actually meant a lot to her.
Oh, that's pretty
Oh,
nice.
a little bit
So,
serendipitous. That's amazing.
yeah.
All right. And um, let's see here. Um, from your childhood, what drawing that stuck to your memory like the most, like from the time like growing up?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's probably, I can't just pinpoint one drawing, but I'd have to say definitely the sketchbooks that I had in like ninth and 10th grade was a lot of self-expression and drawings of myself and friends. I was really drawing things that were centered around my life, and I still have those sketchbooks to this day, but they were very much just little diary entries in
Mm.
picture form.
And how does it feel when you like reflect on these, when you like look at them today or like recently? How does it feel?
It really brings me back to that version of myself that I was in high school because I don't really feel her anymore. I'm much older and different now, but I don't think I would have been able to capture that version of myself as a feeling as much if I didn't have these drawings.
I feel like that too sometimes. Like when we write music and stuff, um, it's like you're in the moment, right? And you're in that feeling and you feel so intense. And then later you listen to it and you're like, oh, I remember that. So I can totally relate to that.
Yeah. Or otherwise, it just would kind of disappear forever, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Were there periods where you couldn't create? And if so, how did that absence of art affect you?
Yeah, so I get just like anybody, really writers, music creators, you get like that artist block, and I feel frustrated with myself to not be able to create the things that I want to create, but I also feel like I'm kind of missing a piece of myself. It's almost like a friend, you know. When I'm creating, it feels safe, it feels comforting, it feels familiar. So when I don't have that, it's kind of just like out of my comfort zone, and I feel like it's hard to kind of find purpose or find another outlet that matches the same energy. But then at the same time, there's no better feeling than when you come out of that and start creating things you're happy with again.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So let's start looking at the art that you submitted. And I want to start with the one that you called Worldview. Let me pull it up
Hmm.
here. And so now it's up. So how about you introduce this art to us?
Yeah, so this is called Worldview. I think it was kind of a cool little pun because she is looking into the earth, right?
Right.
Um, it was something that I created after a mental health break in 2024. I was going through just coming out of a really dark place, and I felt like I was really discovering myself in a way that I had never discovered myself. I was starting to see things from a more objective perspective rather than such an internalized point of view, and I felt like I was really evolving. So this piece is just kind of really, you can see in the painting she is focusing on the world and looking through it and really analyzing the world around her. So the picture is to be more focused on the earth itself and just her kind of wander with it and curiosity of what she can find in it.
Got it. And
Actually, I love this one so much.
Yes, I
I
agree.
absolutely love it.
Thanks.
And I feel like I can really relate because I kind of like, I used to do hair for a living and I was a barber since 2013, but I went through like a really tough time too, and my body kind of just like gave up and I really couldn't do it anymore. And I absolutely had to change how I looked at it because
Mhm.
it really weighed on me because I thought like I'm gonna do this the rest of my life, you know? And so like, oh man, like once you go through that and then you start seeing like the good side of things, like oh, I feel like the yellow in here really captures that feeling, that light, like almost like wonder, you know? Like I really, really love
Yeah,
that.
thank
And
you.
and what is it for you? What about the color? Like, because I do notice that there is grayscale and there is color. So what does the color represent to you here?
So the reason well, I guess it's not the reason. Sometimes you create art and you realize afterwards that it's deeper than you intended it to be. And really, I just love grayscale and I was learning how to use color. But I think like the more deeper meaning behind that for me personally, when I look at it and express myself through it, is finding beauty outside of yourself. So the grayscale is striking when in compared to the color, but it's meant to signify that the subject itself is not the only important thing here, that there is a way to externalize beauty. So,
Right. I love that.
if
That's
that
so
makes
beautiful.
sense.
Yes, makes sense.
Absolutely. That's so
Yeah.
beautiful. All right. And um, so you did describe for this image that this was during the time of coming of age. So where you can feel the wonder and the maturity. So what specifically about this piece that made you realize that that you had the talent to pursue the art and it wasn't just a feat?
Yeah, so because of that mental health break, I really like I didn't draw for like 4 years. So it was something I considered as like a past hobby. I didn't really consider it like a lifelong thing, and there's always this stereotypical narrative that people can't make it far in art. Oh, if you're an artist, your family won't be supportive. But I kind of realized it was something I really wanted to do through this piece because I thought I had to constantly use art to process my emotions, like I had talked about with my high school art. But
Hmm.
when I made this piece, it was something different that I had never created anything like it before. And I kind of had this realization that I could make anything. It doesn't have to be based on myself and it doesn't have to be based on, it can just capture something. And once I realized that, then I felt like my drawings don't have to be sad, they don't have to be important. They can just be expression alone. And then once I realized that, then I felt like I could do pretty much anything.
Hmm. So in a way, this art kind of changed your worldview about like how you see art as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's so beautiful. All right, so let's go to the second piece that we have for tonight,
Mhm.
which is let me put it out here. We have monster.
I love
Here it
this
is.
one.
Me
Yes,
too.
talk to us about monster.
So this is a young girl. It's a, I guess I would call it a metaphorical self-portrait because the girl in the picture wasn't referenced by a picture of me, but I do feel a lot of myself in this drawing slash
Mm,
painting. She is. It's kind of like, I think it's called Monster because the teenage version of myself was very misunderstood, I think, and I just wanted to be understood. So now that I'm older and I look back on her, she looks more beautiful to me. So I wanted to create this ugliness that could also be beautiful, and that's why the horns are colored and she has hearts on her cheeks, because to somebody who had never seen somebody with horns before, that might be really scary. But if you look closely, she's quite beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful. All right, and you said that this was also created around the same time as Worldview. So do you see these two pieces in conversation with each other, like a past and an evolved self?
Yeah, absolutely. Monster is very self-focused and kind of almost egocentric, and Worldview is more of a bigger picture. So Monster is very much about me and my teenage childhood self, whereas I think Worldview could apply to many, many things. Like even
Right.
Cobra said that she could relate to it.
Absolutely.
I feel like this could be a character in League of Legends. Okay, like it could have some lore,
Yes. Yes.
Riot, reach out.
right?
um. All right. Um. And then looking at that younger version of yourself now, what would you tell her?
Yeah, I would tell her that she's not a pariah, and that things like don't just get better, they get amazing. I used to really hate myself and have a lot of shame around who I was, and now I think that I've accepted that version of myself. So I would tell her that she's not a pariah. She's not different. She's just unique.
I love that. I love that for you.
I do too.
Oh, thank
And
you.
and has creating this piece maybe changed how you hold that period of your life?
I think I think it's a fact. I think it's an expression of the evolution of how I hold that part of my life. I think that me accepting my past has happened in a very internal way, and that this painting was an expression of that.
That's really good. All right. Now we're gonna move to the next portrait I would say here, which is Oli Sykes. Um, Tell us about this portrait.
So Ollie Sykes is the lead singer of a band called Bring Me the Horizon. I've been listening to Bring Me the Horizon since I was like 14. Their music has gotten me through a lot, and I was actually really proud of this portrait because it took me a long time, and I was also pregnant when I drew this, and it's pretty intensive to be pregnant and then drawing like such a detailed picture. It took me, I think, about 8 or 9 hours to draw this.
Oh, no doubt.
With a lot of bathroom breaks,
Yeah.
or
And and
Yeah.
and yes, and when we watched and all the art that was submitted, this was one of the two that like really stood out to me because what I was trying to say at the beginning that like the intricate detail in it, like the hair
Hmm.
strands, that the tattoo, like the must, like everything in it is really stood out to me.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
too. I
Hair
like the
hair is
face.
difficult.
Yeah,
I love the facial expression though, because it's
true.
like a like, well, I'm gonna do what I want, kind of like I don't care who's watching. So I really
Yeah.
actually I like
And
that a
that's
lot.
totally his vibe too. So
Makes
Oh, that's
sense.
perfect then.
And what about their music that helped you through that difficult time?
Um, they their music is really about like mental health and stuff, and I am very drawn to lyrics. So their lyrics like spoke words that I felt like I couldn't articulate myself. So I really liked feeling seen, I guess, through their music.
That makes absolute sense. Sometimes words or like the way it is put in songs just like hits absolutely different than every time you keep saying it over and over.
Yeah.
And was there like any specific songs or albums that were like most meaningful to you?
Yeah, my favorite album is Sempiternal. And one of the songs on there is called Hospital for Souls, which is about like a psych ward. It's about like hospitals for mental health, right? And
Right,
that's what it's called, Hospital for Souls, because it's like a hospital for your inner self.
right.
It's a really like I can't listen to that song without getting emotional. And Teardrops is on a different album, but that song is about addiction. And I feel like I've heard songs about mental health and addiction before, but those ones are really like word for word taps into experiences that are very I don't know, specific. And I just really like how this band is able to be so relatable in their songs when they sing about intense and raw subjects.
That's absolutely worth watching or listening. Teardrops and Hospital for Souls. Got it.
Mhm.
And were you listening to either one of those or a different song for them when you were making that portrait?
Usually when I draw, I watch YouTube, but around the time that I was drawing this, they released a lo-fi album, which is
Ooh,
like little lullaby versions of their songs because their songs are pretty heavy. And I was playing it for my daughter because I was pregnant and babies can hear music through your belly, but it's pretty
right.
cool because I was pregnant at the same time as Ollie's wife. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
Oh,
That synchronicity in
Yeah.
this, huh? Amazing. All right. Um, when you're drawing someone who has meant so much for you personally, does that emotional connection change your creative process? Does it make it easier or
Um,
harder?
Yeah, I think it makes it easier. Because when you have like a personal interest in what you're drawing, it excels motivation. I think part of the reason artists can hit art blocks is because they've run out of subjects to be interested in, or they've run out of ideas of things that they're interested in. And I think when
Right,
you have such a strong connection to something, it becomes easier to pour yourself into it.
right. The muse. Right. All right.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So now, um, moving on to the next one, which is another beautiful one, and
this
it's
is my
called,
favorite one.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is called Beauty in Nature. I have it up here. It's called Beauty in Nature. Tell us about
So these are three subjects: a fox, an owl, and a butterfly, and they were made using a technique called stippling. Um, I hadn't really drawn animals before I drew this one. I'm really happy with how like clean it looks, and they're all originals. Everything is original, but these I just really connect with nature, and I love nature so much. So I wanted to try something related to that.
it. Got it. That's so beautiful. And what was your mindset during that time?
Um, my mindset was I wanted to tap into kind of more tattoo oriented designs rather than just create pieces. I wanted something that could be translatable into tattoos. And I also
Mm,
wanted to try something I hadn't done in a long time. I hadn't stippled since I was in high school. So that was something that was kind of a new experiment for me that turned out in a pleasant way.
that's so good. It does look really good, and again, really detailed too.
Yeah. For me, it's the
Yeah.
eyes. It's the eyes.
Mm.
The eyes are just like they stand out and then they're like staring into your soul. Like I like
Yeah,
that so much.
I'm really happy with the owl.
Looks so good.
It does. Um, and also you did this during the pregnancy time. Did that influence this piece at all?
Yeah, I feel like being a mom really connected me to that calmer side of just craving tranquility.
Mm.
And this nature thing is I really had this desire to just go into a forest and be, you know, in nature. So I was
Makes sense.
kind of transferring that onto the page.
Yeah. Were these animals selected for specific symbolic meaning, or did they just emerge naturally as you were designing for to portfolio or something?
So they did kind of emerge naturally, but like I said, I was trying to tap into those tattoo designs. So I looked up some of the most popular um, tattoos that people get. And a lot
Mm.
of people get owls and foxes and butterflies. So
Huh.
I
I
I was
got a
didn't
like,
know
well, if
butterfly.
I can put those all on a page.
that.
I'm like, I got a butterfly.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm sure the butterfly. see a lot too. All right. It does really look good. I do like this. Okay.
Thanks.
Um, and then you did describe the animals and nature as considerably therapeutic. What about it, or about rendering the natural world brings you peace, especially during, that transformative time in
Yeah, so when I was a teenager, I went to this wilderness camp and I the only part about the camp that I really liked was there was a canoe and we would be able to have alone time in the canoe and draw and listen to music just on the lake. And it really tapped me into like kind of an obsession with water. I really
life.
love water. I like being around creeks and rivers, and going camping is my favorite part of the summer because I just love hearing running water. It's so calming and meditative. And being around all that kind of nature, I've been around a lot of nature because I've sought out that feeling. And I think that animals are kind of they're the unseen part of that beautiful place, right?
Right.
So I guess that kind of ties into it. It really, while I was drawing it, it made me think of those scenes and those places that I've been.
Hmm. That's really interesting. Um, I've always viewed water as like something really special because, like, I don't, as much as I love being on the beach, love going on the beach, uh, watching art that has water surfaces in it. I feel like it's completely different story underwater. I would watch it, but
Mhm.
I would not want to be near. I would not think it's even that pretty anymore. You know what I mean? So that's why I always find oceans or sea or even rivers, of course, like any water surface, like really special.
This is why
Mhm.
that's why I open the windows in the summer in our bedroom so I can hear the stream across the street.
Right. It does sound really
Every
nice.
I know, I agree. It sounds really good, but it helps me sleep.
Do you ever
We-
play those little, like, ambience noises on, like, Alexa or something?
yes, we actually play those every night for our youngest son. Every night.
Oh, yeah.
He
Yeah.
loves it.
Yeah. Um, and speaking of water, did you ever incorporate water in your art at all?
I do have a few pieces that have water in them. Water is pretty difficult because it's more of a formation than a subject.
Mm,
But I do have like anime. I've drawn Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. He had a bunch of water around him. So yeah, I have drawn some things. It's hard to draw water.
yeah.
Painting water is a lot easier.
Yeah,
By
for
year.
sure. All right. And um and then you mentioned this part was your tattoo design era, and that you're going into that confidence into doing art that is going to be on the skin. So, what shift that made you feel more confident in these nature themed realistic pieces?
Um, Honestly, the line work for these ones. You need to have very smooth and consistent line work in order to do tattoos because nobody wants wobbly lines, right?
Right.
So this was the first piece that I really felt like my line work was consistent and good and like not if you look at this especially in person, it almost looks printed. Even though I
Mm,
did it with pen. So I was
right.
really proud of the line work for this one, yeah.
It does look really good. And speaking of stippling, I think it would be like incredibly time consuming because I can see how it is absolutely detail oriented. So, like, working on something that takes this level of precision, is it like a meditative process, or does your mind wander? Like, how do you keep focus?
It's definitely meditative. It's like a cyclical thing. you're just focusing every little dot. I'm paying attention, like how big are my dots and how close together they are. That'll translate to the bigger picture. If you want darker shading, you have to do big dots that are close together. And if you want something a little lighter, like on the fox, the bigger areas have small dots that are far apart from each other. And it's almost like a jigsaw puzzle. You're kind of just putting these together. And when you do a jigsaw puzzle, you're focusing on each piece individually. And even if that just takes 2 seconds, it's just once you're done one, on to the next, and
Mm,
take a step back and take a look at the bigger picture and then keep going. I don't really think about much else, which is probably why it's so therapeutic to me because I do have a,
right.
very wandering mind.
Me too.
Yeah,
I feel my ADHD is all over the place all the time.
definitely. Yeah.
Just gotta
You
like
should draw
reel it
some
in.
dots.
Maybe I should. I should try it.
All right. And then let me take you to my absolute favorite, which is Chrome. Up in here. This is like so good. Like it speaks to you. It speaks out of that paper. It just like pops out. It has
Yeah.
no color, but you can almost see it. You can almost see the reflection in the paper. Talk to me about this
So I had seen online that, obviously you do some research when you want to have any kind of profession. And I
one. Right.
saw other people doing this style and I was like, wow, that looks like metal on paper. Like it looks so
Right.
cool. And I wanted to prove to myself that I could accomplish that. I started with the bust, which I thought was the most ambitious one, and I thought if I can do this one, I can do the other ones, right?
Right.
So when I was so happy with that first one, then it was just kind of smooth sailing from there. I just was like, okay,
Right.
I can do it, and I took off and kept going. And yeah, I'm really proud of this page too.
It, it absolutely beautiful because as you said, like the bigger piece it does show it, but like to be able to reflect it on a small piece too, that's absolutely beautiful.
Hmm.
All right. So speaking of
That's
this,
my favorite one. I love
mhm,
the duck because the duck is so happy.
right? It is like
I
you
love
Lots
the
can
of
duck.
get the
people love the
feeling.
duck.
I love the duck. It's just like I'm so happy to be here.
Honestly, the duck was the hardest. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh really? Oh wow.
I was actually
Yeah.
gonna just ask you just that of all these fives, how did you come to choose each one of them, and which one was the hardest?
Right. So I chose them all because they're so different. Uh I feel like you need to show variation to
Right.
express skill. And I wanted different sizes, different shapes, and different themes. Uh my favorite is the bust, and yeah, the hardest one is the duck. The
Mhm.
tooth is pretty cool too.
It is.
I just thought of objects. I saw a picture of a rubber duck and I was like, well, I can do that.
I yeah, that's amazing. I can never look at a rubber duck and think I can draw that.
The bust and the tooth were actually referenced from pictures of actual metal statues.
Mm,
Oh, that's really cool.
that is really
Yeah.
cool. And let me ask you this: so, like, how did you teach yourself to do this? Create that chrome illusion.
I put together all the skills that I've kind of, gathered through the years. I took art in high school and stuff, and I learned a lot of basics.
Right.
And for this, I could tell that obviously shading and precise lines were important. Values were important, knowing how dark an area should be versus how light it should be, and where it should
Mm,
be in relation to the other pieces. Um, so I think I honestly I did a trial one. I did a little teardrop and I was really unhappy with it. It didn't turn out
mm,
very good. So I looked at this teardrop and figured out what was wrong with it. And then I tried to create something that was void of the mistakes I had made in the teardrop.
mm.
And that's how I ended up with the bust. So
Turned turned out really good.
You're like, oh, this one's easy now. It's a big one.
Yeah. Once you know what not to do, right?
Right. This really showcases your tattoo portfolio work. And but how has designing for tattoos, which is like permanent art on living canvases, changed your approach to creating compared to paper-based work?
So when you create something that could go in a portfolio or something that you would consider a design for a tattoo, it has to be translatable to needlework. Um,
Mm,
there are there are limits to what you can and can't do on skin. I mean, you can attempt to do these things, but they won't turn out a certain way.
right.
Like you can't have a very small tattoo with a lot of detail because then the lines will bleed into each other.
Right.
So every time I draw now, especially if I'm thinking of putting it into my portfolio, I don't I consider if it would make sense as a tattoo.
Mm,
Okay,
I
like the
see.
technical. You're like, can this technically be a tattoo? Right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And you also have to think about placement too, because if you look at like Worldview or Monster, if you were trying to put that on a body, there's not a lot of places that it would make sense. Like if you wouldn't have that on your forearm because it would look warped.
Right.
If you put it on your back, it would also look warped, you know? So like,
Right, yeah.
yeah, right.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I never really like think about it. Like, I mean, I do in some ways. Like when you're doing hair, like you're thinking about their head shape, like and all that stuff when you're doing a haircut. So like, I kind of see that in that aspect, but not like the same. You know?
And I think everything can be transformed to fit into a tattoo. Like you can change designs. I'm sure there's some stylized way that I could change my other paintings to be tattoo designs, right?
Right.
Right. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your creative process. Do you have like rituals or routines that help you enter that creative headspace?
Yeah, I listen to Spotify podcasts or music. Like I have to have something in the background to because the way that you get into that flow state is you need to be in a calm, preserved mindset. I can't be anxious and overthinking what I'm drawing. So I need
Mm.
something to distract my mind while my hand works.
Huh.
I also have an art club that I go to every Saturday. Um, just a space where there isn't a family and a child in the house, right?
Right.
So yeah, and it's nice to have designated time that I know I'll be able to be uninterrupted and creative for 3 hours on this day, and then I don't have to feel guilt about not drawing on this day, right?
Right. And then this way it's
Yeah.
not only that like it's that time blocked out for that, you're already mentally prepared that this is gonna be the time for that. So like you are ready before you even start.
Exactly. And you can think about what you're gonna draw
Right.
beforehand. So that's nice.
That is really nice. And have you ever started a piece and realized midway through it that, it's saying something different than what you actually intended to do?
Yeah, it's a little bit like what I mentioned earlier. Sometimes you're drawing something and you realize that it's deeper than you intended, right?
Right.
Like one time I drew a rose and I was just like, how can I make this rose different? Well, I can draw paint splatters on it. And the way it turned out, it kind of looked like an Alice in Wonderland, like
Mm.
painting the roses red. And it's funny the takeaways you can have from something after it's finished. And then there's also drawings that you can do where halfway through you change entirely what you're drawing because it's not speaking to you correctly, right?
Right. Absolutely.
We do that with songs all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like,
I
wait,
bet.
nah, this ain't hitting the way we wanted it to.
It's cool when you listen to demos of like really popular songs and the demo is in the same bracket of the song, but you can tell it's a completely different sound.
Yes.
Right.
You're like, oh, how many
Yeah.
versions did they go through?
Right.
And then looking at all these pieces that we looked today, um, I feel like you often feature faces. the human portrait specifically. So, what draws you to capturing the human face versus other subjects?
Yeah, I really like expression. I really have an interest in psychology because
Mm,
like knowing how I grew up and everything, like I said, I felt very misunderstood. So I made it kind of like a goal of mine to understand myself better, and in so doing, I managed to understand other people better.
right,
And because of that, I find people very fascinating. So I feel like I can understand other points of view of people through drawing them than I do just knowing them. If you ever like if you've ever like been in love with somebody, or a child, if you've seen a child and you just either they're sleeping or they're doing something or they're laughing and you see them from that one angle and you just
right.
have that thought of like, wow, you are so special and beautiful from this point of view. I want to capture people from an angle that I don't usually see them in. And
I
by
That's
love
very
that.
drawing
powerful.
them, it's intimate.
That's how I feel about some portraits that are like landscapes. Cause like like depending on where you're like taking the photo from, like it changes like completely, you know? Like you might capture a different part of the sky that's a different color, or a leaf that is like changed, like when it's flipped
Yeah,
over. Like
details. And then the medium too. If it's like pastels versus watercolor, you see it completely differently.
right, exactly. I love that. I love that so much. And you can see it in your work too, because like not every one of them has the same expression, or like there's like the details are different, you know? So like I
Yeah, they're not
really can
mugshots.
see that. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
um, Tell me, you considered art college, but then you redirected and you went to tattoo apprenticeship. So how did that
Mhm.
redirection happen? How and do you feel like it was the right path?
Yeah, so after I made Worldview, that was really the one painting where I was like,
Mm,
I want to do this forever, right?
mm,
And I started researching fine arts colleges and just courses I can take. And I lived with my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. We lived together and we worked close to home, and there wasn't really an available course for me to take that was nearby. We figured out that I would have to move to a city that was about 2 or 3 hours away in order for me to go to college at all, and then be there for a significant amount of time away from my home and my husband. Um, and college costs money.
Right. I'm
right.
with the kid.
But and the point, so I kind of gave up on that, and I figured, I'm just gonna draw and see where it takes me. At the time, I got a job at a Michael's store, and I was like, if I just work at this art store, at least it's something I'm interested in. Um, and then a couple years went by, and I was like, I kind of discovered that like tattooing is something I could do. I love getting tattoos, and so I was like, you know what? That's something I'm interested in. So I did more research on it, and I realized that this was kind of the hidden answer, if you will, the light
Mm.
bulb moment of, oh, this is what I was supposed to do. So yeah, I do feel like it's the right path for me, because not only do I like drawing and everything, I have that intense interest in tattoos as well. So why it didn't click sooner, I don't know.
Makes sense.
Life. Was meant to
Yeah.
And what do you say was the most like challenging thing going from, doing portfolio art to doing tattoos?
I haven't actually started tattooing yet, but I am getting like fake skins and stuff. I've done a ton of research, but I do think that create you can't something that I wasn't expecting about tattooing. I thought that I could just kind of tattoo what I draw, and that's not really feasible. You have to draw things with the intention of it becoming a tattoo.
Mm,
So designing has been a different process than I was expecting. But I'm actually in the process of purchasing a machine to start practicing tattooing. So I guess that answer is in the making.
Let's
got it.
go. So close.
Yeah. My
And
brother-in-law wants to be the first victim, so
fair enough. And um, do you have any tattoos of your own?
I do. I have two tattoos and I'm getting another one in April. I have a American traditional style heart with a dagger through it, and it
Mm,
has a banner with my stepmom's name on it. She is really she was like my mom when I felt I didn't have a mom.
Aw.
And it's on my forearm, and I got it when I was 19. It was my first tattoo. Um, so could I have maybe put it in a more desirable, not so obvious area? Yes. But I do like it. It's the thing about tattoos is if you get one that doesn't age well or you don't like it forever, it's instead of it being a bad tattoo, you can see it as something that it's from a version of yourself that you can't connect with anymore, but it's always there. So when I look
right.
at this tattoo, I'm like, this is a significant symbol of 19-year-old me, right?
Mhm.
That's how I feel about mine
And then
too.
I'm yeah, exactly. And that's why I wouldn't get it covered up or anything. I'm just gonna, like, leave it there, like, that's part of me. And then on my left wrist, I have a heart with a semicolon, which is just like a mental health symbol, like a sentence that could have ended but didn't. So that represents mental health and addiction.
Oh, I love that. Like pieces of your story.
Yeah, yeah, but now
Absolutely.
I wanna get tattoos that aren't so meaningful, like, I wanna get, like, a huge floral piece on my neck and
Felt.
just, like, a bunch of flowers and stuff. Yeah.
I know I have like a small butterfly on my chest, and I'm like, well, I guess we need more butterflies or something up here. Since it's not so lonely.
At first, everybody thinks tattoos need meaning, and then as you get older, you're just like, "I just want something cool. Put a freaking dragon on my shoulder." I don't know.
I love it. Have fun.
All
Yeah.
right. So, looking forward, if you could collaborate with any artist, living or dead, who would it be and what would you want to create together?
This is an interesting question. I have to think really hard about this, but I think Salvador Dali, who like may
Oh,
not be very well known, but he's a surrealist painter from around the same era of Picasso,
right.
probably older than Picasso actually. And he painted a very famous surrealist painting called The Melting Clocks. And he's done a lot of other stuff, but I've loved him since I ever saw him. If I was going to create something with Salvador Dali, it would probably be like a huge mural. Like I would just want to spend hours with this guy just painting a mural that we designed together. I
Hmm,
just love his paintings. I wish he was still alive to create more, honestly.
right. Yeah,
Oh, those
absolutely.
are amazing.
Yeah.
We had to look it up.
I've seen some pretty Oh yeah,
Yeah.
have you seen him before? Before you looked him up, did you recognize him?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, actually I
Yeah.
did. Somebody else used it on the Discord in like one of their music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
actually
so
did.
like it really stood
Oh,
out. I was
cool.
like, I just seen this like yesterday or the day
Right.
before. So
Synchronicity, I guess.
Yeah, he was kooky, man, but he was cool.
right.
I saw somebody had a whole tattoo of him with his mustache, his famous mustache picture. They had like a
You know,
self-portrait of him on their shoulder. It was pretty cool.
what it reminds me of is like we were watching Bob Ross like last week. He was like, you know what? When you're a little crazy, just tell him you're an artist. It's okay to be a little crazy when you're an artist. And I was
For
like,
real.
yes.
Name an artist who hasn't had some sort of crisis. I'll wait.
Right, right, exactly. It was so good. I was like, this fits. I'm clocking it in.
All right. And 5 years from now, when you look back at this moment in your artistic journey, what do you hope you have accomplished? Um, and I'm not talking just technically, but personally through your art.
It's funny that you say 5 years because that's the exact kind of deadline I have for myself to be in a shop actively tattooing because my daughter once she's 5 years old can go to kindergarten because I'm a stay-at-home
Mm,
mom. So
right.
childcare is not really an option for us because like for me to get a job somewhere, I would be making money just so that we could pay for daycare, right?
Right. Yeah.
Not
No, we
in
feel
this
So
it. Yeah.
economy. Feel it.
once he goes to school, I am tailing my butt out to the shops and getting in one. So that's in 5 years. I want to be doing my dream job essentially. But technically, I mean, sorry, a little bit more of a concept. You said goals for myself in 5 years. I would say I just want to be at a point where I feel confident in my own skill. I think everybody who's tried to achieve something like being a tattoo artist has their moments where they doubt themselves. And maybe I'll never be totally confident, but I look at my art, and even though everybody is like, "Wow, this is so good. I love it so much." I see every little mistake, and I just want
Right.
to I think to myself all the time like, "Do I have what it takes to do what I want to do?" And once I get there, maybe I can quiet that voice a little bit. But for now, it is a little bit daunting to wonder if I can really reach my ultimate goal of being a full-time artist.
Right. Because you are your biggest critic.
Mhm.
All right. Chronic. How can people watching us today or hearing us later can connect with you, get to see your art, and support you?
Yeah, so I have a TikTok account. It's just Khr0nic, like chronic like it's written on the screen. Um, and that's pretty good. I mean, I post my
Got it.
tattoo apprenticeship journey on there. I also have some silly little videos of myself on there, but I it's mostly art on my TikTok page.
Oh,
I
beautiful.
don't I'm not expecting a huge influx of support from anybody. I just like to share my stuff. I think the more we show people what we do, it's just a special kind of connection moment, right?
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
yeah, if you
That's
want to follow me, I'm on there. So,
absolutely yes. And that's really why we're here to just shed light on that. And you
mhm.
heard it, Chronic 9 on TikTok. If you want to follow. Now, this is probably my last question. Was there any question or something that you expected that I would ask, but I didn't, or anything that you wanted to cover and I haven't?
Um, I don't think so. I kind of gave you some ideas of what I wanted to talk about just briefly before we had this, and you exceeded my expectations in
Thank you.
you know, I could tell your questions were super fleshed out, and just you thought of including everything I wanted to talk about. But I do have to say it did surprise me. You had a few questions that were like, "Wow, I wasn't expecting you to ask me that."
Oh,
Was when
cool.
you asked me what I would ask my younger self.
Mm,
That was something I hadn't thought about in years, or what I would say to my younger self. Sorry, that was something I'd never thought about in years. So it was really interesting to
yeah.
think like, I don't know, what would I say to her? But
Yeah, I hope
that
it was a
was
good practice. Yeah, for sure. It is interesting for sure when we think about our younger self like that. Definitely, yeah.
yeah.
Can we nerd out for just
Yeah, I really enjoyed this.
what resonated with you most about Jinx? Since we're using it as your avatar, and I love her. I loved Arcane. I love all of League of Legends, the lore, all of it. So
Right.
what stood out the most for you? Was it her artwork, her personality, or something else?
Honestly, I've never resonated with a character more. Like her arcane version, I've never felt so represented by a character in my life, honestly. Just like when she was a kid, she was super innocent and, moldable, and she just had something horrible happen to her. But in then she went on this rampage of being somebody, and where people really thought Jinx was a villain, I really saw her as just like a good person in a bad situation. And towards the end of season 2, sorry, spoilers, where she kind of heals and becomes this softer version of herself. And I feel like those 3 eras of Jinx are like my 3 eras of life as well. Like I'm at that softer point now where I've healed from a lot of things, but I was that innocent kid, and I was that messy and reckless version of a teenager, and now I'm here. So
I love that. I love that
yeah,
so much.
she's great, and she's
I can
canonically
relate.
borderline. like borderline
Just a
personality
little bit.
disorder. She has that,
For
Yeah,
sure.
for
so that's
sure.
cool.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like I feel like
Hmm.
that's totally with me too with Kaisa. Like I deeply feel her story, like her entire lore. So like from her being abandoned to going into the void, which I would consider like for me would be like my inner self and like coming out to like really try and like help others or like take on that weight. Like I fully resonated with that. So I like totally understand how you feel about Jinx. So I think that's really great.
I I'm really impressed by people who know all the league lore because that's just like hours of content.
Right?
It
Yeah,
is. It really
that's
is.
cool.
Right. That was fun. We really enjoyed to have you here. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was a good time.
All right, everyone. You heard it from Chronic herself. And the best part, she's with us in the Discord. So you can follow her on the TikTok. And also, you can be part of our Discord and you can hang with the whole crew. We all here. And we'll, next time, we're going to have another good episode just like this one. And see you next time.